Hi there, this is Shrikant Sari. So in this lesson, we are going to learn about the various compatibility issues between C and C++. Okay, the programmers who are coming from C background to C++, so they need to know some changes in C++ such that their code would not break in a typical C++ compiler. Okay, so when it comes to C++, there are minor changes in each and every concept. Okay, so in this lesson, we will be discussing about the changes, the minor changes regarding the pointers and memory allocation. Okay, so first let us take a pointer here. Okay, so first I am taking a pointer int p. Okay, so I'm taking another pointer here, or else let me say that the integer pointer as I, and I'm taking another pointer here which is known as void pointer or void pointer of type void. Okay, so for example, if you're saying something like this, I is equal to some ptr. Okay, and if you're trying to execute the code, well, let me put getch here for the purpose of the output just to stay. So if you are executing the code, so automatically the code breaks here. Okay, so for two reasons. The first one, the getch does not have a header file here. Okay, so I forgot to include this hash include conio.h. Just a second. Hash include conio.h. Okay, so the code breaks for one main reason, that is cannot convert void to an int. Okay, so in older language, in C, this might work perfectly. Okay, so this works in C. So this works in C, but not in C++. Okay, but not in C++. Okay, the first thing you have to remember, the first point, this works in C but not in C++. Okay, so when coming to memory allocation, okay, so for example, let me take another pointer here. Let me take int star p. Okay, so let me try to allocate some memory to this pointer. Okay, so using a malloc function. Okay, so in C we might be habituated to write code like this to initialize the initialize or allocate some bytes of memory to a pointer. Okay, so we might be habituated to write like this, but even though this also breaks in C++. Okay, so if you execute the code and you have another error here. Okay, specifically it says that again it cannot convert void to int. Okay, so the furthest reason, C++ programmers or C programmers who are coming to C++ background must be very careful while using the malloc function. Okay, so they must cast that void, that by default the malloc function returns the void pointer. You must cast that to an int and then try to allocate into your program. Okay, so here nothing happens here. So the code works fine. The malloc function, we have solved the problem. Okay, okay, so also let me cast here also. Just a second. Let's say int star, and now your code works fine, and also it breaks because you're not you have not initialized the pointer, and you're using that. It says that. Let me break the code and stop the debugging once again here. Let me stop the debugging and then let me initialize that pointer with some null data. Now let me execute the program. It works fine and compiles fine and executes well. Okay, so these are the two main issues when coming to the pointers and memory allocation. Okay, so pointers and memory allocation, the first thing you need to remember is that you cannot by default implicit type conversion is there in C. Okay, in C directly you can you can assign a void pointer into an integer pointer. Their implicit conversion works with the pointers but not in the case of C++. So you need to be very careful while you are declaring a void type of pointer and trying to initialize this into an integer pointer. And also when it comes to a malloc function, by default it returns a void pointer, and then you have to cast your malloc function with integer pointer and then allocate into the pointer to assign some memory. Okay, So last but not least, we have tried to initialize with the point. Let us also use the free function here, just to release. Also a best practice all the time. You need to, whenever you're trying to allocate memory, you need to, it's your duty to deallocate the memory. Because in Java language like Java has those features like automatic garbage collection. Like unluckily in C or C++ we don't have that kind of things. Okay, so see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.